Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Evan, and today I want to talk to you about Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil Village. Now, I will say I did play through the entirety of the game, and despite those who are following us on my YouTube and Twitch channels, I have been, and Facebook as well, I have been streaming it. Well, I haven't. My lovely girlfriend has been. And I played it a little bit on the site just so I could make you guys a review and make a couple of comments. It is a fantastic game, and I highly encourage you guys to go get it. That being said, I am approaching this from somebody who is not a horror fan at all. I actually do not enjoy jump scares or the suspense or anything like that, but I do kind of enjoy the really, really good storytelling, the character building, and how interesting some of the characters are, the incidental world building, even though some of it doesn't make a whole ton of sense. That being said, it's a very, very compelling story with the story of Ethan Winters continuing. I did not, unfortunately, play Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, but quite frankly, I heard that game was a little more scary than I think I would be interested in playing. Resident Evil Village is interesting because it definitely does start like a true RE game, and it's deeply it starts as a thriller, then a straight up horror, and then it starts as like a spooky horror survival game, traveling through the castle of House Dimitrescu, fighting off the titular mommy milker Lady D and her daughters, and then off to House Benevento, or however you pronounce it. It's some Bulgarian name, or mixed with French and Italian, weirdly enough. But regardless, it's perhaps one of the most jarring gaming experiences from a horror perspective I have experienced in recent memory was in that house. And after that particular part, it was relatively easy-ish, I'll say. It wasn't super duper difficult, but to be fair, I did play it on casual mode because, I'm a bitch. But after that, going to the reservoir and then to the Heisenberg factory. After that, it was like a little suspenseful, and you kind of had to do this, you pace yourself a little bit, but realistically, certainly for the boss fights, they became much more gun fests and spacing, shoot, space, shoot. If I could describe Resident Evil as something, it is, yes, a horror game, but it's also a more methodical shooter. It feels more realistic, or as realistic as a shooter can be when you're a being made of mold and can reattach limbs with alcohol. But regardless, the fact of the matter is it's a really interesting type of game, and one of the things that I find most interesting and compelling is the bonus store. So whenever you complete a save, you get access to, bonuses and stuff. And if you complete challenges and things of that nature, you can unlock more things. Lots of just models you can look at and look at in more detail, pictures, cinema. There's just more lore, so it's kind of a more comprehensive, case of the game. Some of the secrets are really interesting and compelling too. I think I was able to combine most things, but there's a couple things that I'm having a little difficulty finding, or rather, keeping them in my inventory treasure-wise. But mechanic-wise, the game is rock solid and tight. And honestly, the more playthroughs you do, and the more better weaponry and gear, and just you learn more of the spacing better, and you memorize things, you get better and better at the game, and eventually, you'll in the bonuses screen, which you can turn these things off at any time, you even get things like unlimited ammo, which turns the game into frankly, a cakewalk. Although things like that I think might be much more convenient on a harder playthrough, especially if I were to go play it, given the fact that I don't really play Resident Evil games necessarily for their difficulty, but honestly, I think friends of mine who find these games compelling would find that annoying, and I'll do that just for them. But as far as the rating, what's the real rating for RE 8? Well, I would probably end up giving this a Mommy Milkers out of 10. Lady Demetresque is, oh, that waistline, yes, but which is an actual line that the merchant character says when you would deliver her carcass to him. But it's a great game, and I highly suggest if you're kind of like a little bit over of like the, heavy twitch shooter type of environment of like shooting, but RE8 kind of gives you a little bit of what you're missing. You have a surprisingly large amount of like array of guns to choose from, and you can find other ones in the world. I would highly encourage you that after you complete House Bevianito, take as much time as you can to like look around like the village proper near the shrine, because there's a lot of really cool goodies you'll be able to pick up. But regardless, ladies and gentlemen, this has been What's the Real Rating. I appreciate your listenership, and we'll see you guys next time.